What's up, guys? Welcome back on the channel. Sneaky Serie A midweek round, which means we have to do the match preview today because Inter are playing Fiorentina tomorrow. But before we get into all of that, really tragic news that we have to cover quickly before we get into everything. It's a news involving our backup goalkeeper, Josep Martinez, and a very unfortunate 81-year-old man who lost his life today. As per the reports coming out of Italy, confirmed reports, by the way, this is not just a rumor. So, as translated here by sempreinter.com, elderly man in wheelchair killed after Inter Milan and Spanish goalkeeper hits him in a car accident. So, um, according to La Repubblica, the 81-year-old elderly person passed away on the spot despite receiving immediate medical assistance. This tragic event took place in Fenegro this morning, so not too far from the Inter training grounds in Appiano Gentile, sending shockwaves through the local community and the football world. As a result of the traffic accident involving Martinez, a tragic fatality occurred, leaving everyone at the scene shocked. So according to the reconstruction of the incident, the 81-year-old man may have been suffering from a health issue, and then due to this health issue, whatever it was, he ended up getting into the driving lane. So in his wheelchair, I don't know if he fell onto the road or he went on to the road with his wheelchair. But yeah, he went into the road. Martinez, I guess, hit him with his car. He tried to immediately come out of his vehicle to check on the victim and offer assistance. The helicopter rescue team was there. Ambulance, police arrived on the scene quickly, but despite the best efforts, they could not do anything but pronounce him dead on the spot. So crazy news in the build-up to this game, which I was thinking maybe it could even be cancelled because of the direct involvement of an Inter player in something like this. Christian Kivu had to cancel his press conference. Today he was supposed to speak ahead of the game. That was cancelled for obvious reasons. Of course, Martinez as well now is going to be involved in a legal criminal case as well, maybe, to see what has gone on. But of course, the main thoughts and prayers go to the family of the 81-year-old elderly person that passed away. Awful tragic news. And of course, looking at it from a lens, of course, the lens of a football fan or an Inter fan, as myself, for Martinez as well, this could be, it looks like it was potentially probably not his fault, but it could be something that could scar him, something like that, mentally, because can scar you for years, can affect your career. So I hope it doesn't. I hope this gets cleared up, but we'll have to follow and wait for the procedures to happen. But yeah, again, prayers and thoughts out to the family of the person affected, unfortunately. In this somber mood, we have to move on to the match preview. By the way, this match preview I'm doing just as Napoli finished their game against Lecce. Lecce almost did us and the other Scudetto candidates a favor by almost beating Napoli. They could have gone 1-0 up, but Francesco Ciccio Camarda, the 17-year-old on loan from Milan, the guy that Milan fans like to put up against Pio Esposito as this weird rivalry thing. But yeah, there you go. Now he missed a massive penalty today. But hopefully this is not the end of Ciccio Camarda in the starting 11 of Lecce. We do, for the national team, we do need to develop this guy. We have high hopes for him. But unfortunately today, he messed up. And afterwards, a few minutes afterwards, Anguissa again, Frank Anguissa, Zambo Anguissa again steps up with a massive goal. Headed goal, I believe. I didn't get to see that. And now Napoli, of course, they were already top of the league, go further, top of the league by, compared to Inter, 6 points clear of Inter, which means, of course, tomorrow's game against Fiorentina is a must win. Let's have a look at the probable formations. Actually, let me quickly go through some other team news. Marcus Thuram, when is he coming back? I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking, and by the way, whilst you are here with this off on a somber mood, but please support the channel, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Marcus Thuram could reportedly resume full training this week with his return to the field expected next week. The 28-year-old, as we know, suffered a hamstring injury during the Slavia Prague win in the Champions League, and he's been out since. But he should be back most likely against the Kairat Almaty Champions League game, where he will rejoin the squad. So he'll miss the Fiorentina and also the Hellas Verona game on Sunday. So no Mockstram tomorrow. Henrik Mkhitaryan, when will he be back? The 36-year-old who got injured against Napoli. He is expected to be back at the start of December. So not usually with Inter, they don't really give too much away in terms of the timelines and they usually kind of downplay the injuries a lot of the times. When this one, it seems like whatever's filtered out of Inter's camp is actually a little bit negative, that he will be out for at least 4 weeks, if not a little bit more. So he's likely to miss at least the next 5 games in Serie A, including the derby against Milan. So yeah, of course, this means it's a big opportunity. This Mkhitaryan injury is a massive, massive opportunity for Petar Sucic to come in and have some consistent time, some consistent starting time in this Inter team, in this Kivu system, which is something that I have complained about a little bit. Yes, I know why Kivu starts Mkhitaryan. That is the safe option. That is the tactically well-rounded option, defensively sound option, physically sound option in what he offers. He's a certainty, especially on a young coach who's been hired in this massive Inter job with a lot of pressure. You're not going to go for the riskier options and think, are you? You're going to go for the safe option. But now, I think this is the time that hopefully Petar Sucic can have 2-3 games as a starter ahead of Zielinski. I think it should be Sucic ahead of Zielinski in terms of thinking for the long term as well, thinking not just about this season, but for the longer term development of Sucic at Inter for this next season and maybe longer. So speaking of that, let's get into the predicted lineups for tomorrow, 7:45 p.m. UK time kickoff for me. Jan Sommer, of course, we don't need to say why. He will retain his spot tomorrow as the goalkeeper due to the Martinez news, as we just discussed. Not much rotation at the back outside of De Vrij coming in for Acerbi. I think that is deserved. De Vrij started the Champions League game, had a stinker, was subbed off. Acerbi started the Napoli game, had a stinker. I think De Vrij deserves to come back in. Even if it's not due to a stinker of Acerbi, just in terms of at that age, Acerbi, I don't think he should be and cannot be playing back-to-back game every few days for sure. In midfield, no changes. Hakan, Barella, but of course, Sucic is predicted to come in for Mkhitaryan, as should be. Di Marco to retain his spot and Dumfries to retain his spot. I wouldn't have minded to see Carlos Augusto come into this game with Dodo on that side, who is good for Fiorentina, but that is looks like what's continuing to be the option. Up front, Lautaro Martinez, of course, in the absence of Marcus Thuram, but we do need Lautaro to step up after his misses against Napoli. I'm expecting some goals from Lauti, and I've put him in my fantasy Serie A team to back that up. And up front, next to him, Pio Esposito to get his start. I think Boni definitely had a step back in the game against Napoli. I think he was a little bit disappointing. And I think, again, in terms of squad rotation, it makes sense for Pio Esposito to come in for this game as well, with Fiorentina, who will likely be playing 3 at the back. If we end up, pinning them back a lot, if crosses and balls in the air are going to be important, Pio Esposito is going to be massive for that. He's way better at that than Boni. But yeah, overall, very, very happy with this lineup. What do you guys think? What changes would you guys make? As we saw, Luis Enrique, unfortunately, still isn't quite ready. I don't think this is the game for Frattesi to start either. And I don't think it's the game for Bistek either, just because we need to secure the win tomorrow. Quick look at the Fiorentina team. Are we going to be the team that sacks Pioli? It was a shock yesterday or this morning. No, actually, it was yesterday, wasn't it? Igor Tudor sacked by Juve. I think pretty much everyone since the start of the season has thought it's going to be Pioli first, but I've been saying I think Pioli The only thing that's saving him right now is the high salary in terms of for Fiorentina level, like for what Fiorentina's wage budget is, them having to pay off Stefano Pioli. That is probably really the only reason why Pioli has not been sacked, because they should not be battling relegation as they are right now. Awful start to the season. But similar to my question, are we going to be this team that finally gets Pioli sacked? We can also be, and I think a lot of Interisti are thinking this, are we the team that revives this awful Fiorentina team? Are we going to be the guys that finally give them a win in this awful start to the season that they've had? My God, I don't even want to think about that scenario. That would put us in definitely big trouble in terms of the Scudetto race. And then you start also worrying about top four race if that happens. Recent head-to-heads against Fiorentina have been good, outside of course, that awful 3-0 loss that we had last season under Inzaghi, the one that, the game that was initially cancelled or suspended due to the injury to Eduardo Bove and then replayed. We completely shit the bed there. But in general, we have a good record recently against Fiorentina, especially at home. Last time round 2-1 win. Before that, 4-0 win. And then the third last game against them was the one where we lost. But in general, home and away, we have a decent record. But against this specific Fiorentina, we should be winning. And even when you look at the lineups, of course, you got Gosens, the ex of the game, in there. It is a decent midfield. I like the midfielders in on an individual basis. I think they're all decent players, but in the Pioli system, this not take the midfield has been very, very poor performing. De Gea has also took a step back this season. Last season he was amazing. The back line has been very shaky. Moise Keane, I think he's only got one or even two goals, maybe max. Serie A, I think he's got a few in the Conference League, but in Serie A he might be just stuck on one or two. He's out of form. Albert Goodmanson. Remember, last summer, as in the season before, he was linked to us very heavily. He had that court case going on off the field. I think we did dodge a bullet, not just because of the court case. His performances at Fiorentina also haven't been very good. Nowhere near the level that, was expected of him. He was a big money signing from Genoa for them. Give him the number 10, big responsibility. Hasn't really stepped up to that level. And yeah, Inter were wanting to splash out 25, 30 million, or that's what Genoa wanted for him. Maybe in the end, he still, I think, profile-wise was something that we needed, but it seems like he wasn't to the level ready for that step up, probably a Genoa level player. So they have Kwame out, that's no big. Tariq Lamptey is out, but those the starting right wing back anyway. Of course, we are Edin Dzeko, our beloved Baba Dzeko, on the bench. I'm not a betting man, but if I had to put £5 on a bet, even though he's a substitute, I would put money on Edin Dzeko coming on as a substitute scoring against us. You can just see it, right? You can just see it. But regardless of all that, Inter should be wiping the floor with this Fiorentina team, getting 3 points. And my prediction is a 2-0 victory. Well, maybe that's what I want to see. I want to see a clean sheet, but actually I do see us conceding a stupid or silly goal. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory here for Inter. Yeah, Edin Dzeko, Robin Gosens with that one goal for them. And for Inter, I am predicting a Lautaro goal and a Petar Sucic goal. I think if Sucic gets into some of those positions that Mkhitaryan has been getting in, he will score. That is my prediction. You guys let me know. You're down in the comments down below. Now I'm going to go and watch Atalanta versus Milan. Hopefully Atalanta can hold Milan to a draw. They've been drawing so many games with Atalanta, so hopefully they can do their job. See you for the post-match reaction after the game tomorrow, guys. Ciao ragazzi. Always, Forza Inter.